Rivers State crisis. Senate confirms the receipt of Tinubu's letter set to debate emergency rule. On March 18, 2025, President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, citing escalating political unrest and recent incidents of pipeline vandalism. This unprecedented move led to the suspension of Governor Seminelayi Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, and all members of the Rivers State House of Assembly for an initial period of 6 months. Retired Vice Admiral Ibas was appointed as the state's sole administrator during this period, while the judiciary continues to function. The political crisis in Rivers State has been intensifying over recent months, marked by tensions between Governor Fubara and state lawmakers. Allegations against the governor include illegal budget presentations and issues concerning the composition of the legislative chamber. These internal conflicts have raised concerns about governance and stability within the state. Compounding the political turmoil, recent acts of pipeline vandalism have threatened Nigeria's oil production infrastructure. Notably, a fire outbreak on the Trans-Niger pipeline was reported, prompting federal intervention to safeguard national economic interests. In response to the president's declaration, the Nigerian Senate has confirmed the receipt of President Tinubu's letter regarding the state of emergency and is scheduled to debate the proclamation. The Senate deliberation is a constitutional requirement, as the National Assembly must approve any state of emergency declared by the president. As the situation unfolds, the nation awaits the Senate's debate and decision on the state of emergency in Rivers State. Dangote Refinery announces suspension of petrol sale in naira. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has temporarily suspended the sale of petroleum products in naira. This decision aims to address a mismatch between the refinery's sales proceeds and its crude oil purchase obligations, which are currently dominated in US dollars. The refinery sales of petroleum products in naira have exceeded the value of naira-dominated crude received, prompting this adjustment. The refinery clarified that support suggesting the suspension is due to ticketing fraud are false, stating that their systems are robust and have not encountered fraud issues. They emphasized their commitment to serving the Nigerian market efficiently and plan to resume sales in naira once they receive allocations of naira-dominated crude cargoes from Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC). This development occurs amid ongoing discussions between Dangote Refinery and NNPC regarding a naira for crude agreement. The previous 6-month contract, which allowed the refinery to purchase crude oil in naira, is set to expire at the end of March 2025. Negotiations are underway to establish a new contract to ensure a stable supply of crude oil to the refinery. The Dangote Refinery, with a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, is a significant player in Nigeria's oil sector. Its operations are crucial for meeting domestic fuel demands and reducing reliance on imported petroleum products. Tinubu swears in Ibas as Rivers sole administrator. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Vice Admiral Ibas, retired, as the sole administrator of Rivers State. The sole administrator was sworn in following a short meeting with the president on Wednesday afternoon at the presidential villa in Abuja. Tinubu had on Tuesday declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, citing a prolonged political crisis that has disrupted governance and threatened security. As part of the measures, he suspended Governor Seminelayi Fubara alongside his deputy, Ngozi Odu, as well as all elected members of the state's House of Assembly for an initial period of 6 months. In their place, Tinubu appointed Vice Admiral Ibas as sole administrator, with a mandate to oversee governance but not to enact new laws. The president emphasized that the judiciary will continue to function independently. Orders from above: 15 trillion naira Lagos-Calabar coastal highway project shrouded in secrecy, journalists barred from sight. The Lagos-Calabar coastal highway is an ambitious 700-kilometer infrastructure project estimated at 15 trillion naira, designed to connect Lagos to Calabar, traversing 8 states along Nigerian coastline. Despite its potential economic benefits, the project has been marred in controversy, primarily due to concerns about transparency, procurement processes, and the treatment of media personnel. Secrecy and media access. Reports have emerged indicating that journalists have been barred from accessing the construction sites of the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway. This restriction has raised alarms about the project's transparency and the flow of information to the public. The lack of media access has fueled speculation and concern regarding the project's execution and oversight. Procurement and legal challenges. The project's procurement process has come under scrutiny. In May 2024, the House of Representatives initiated an investigation to determine if due process was followed in awarding the contract to High-Tech Construction Company Nigeria Limited. Lawmakers expressed concern that the procurement strategy might have violated the Public Procurement Act of 2007 and the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission Act. Additionally, questions were raised about the engineering, procurement, construction plus finance funding model adopted for the project, with suggestions that it lacked necessary approvals from the National Assembly. Further complicating the matter, the federal government has enlisted 6 senior advocates of Nigeria (SAN) to defend against multiple lawsuits opposing the highways construction. One notable suit challenges the Ministry of Works' refusal to disclose detailed information regarding the 15 trillion naira budget allocated for the project. These legal actions underscore the growing demand for transparency and accountability in project execution. Political criticism. Political figures has also voiced concerns. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration for the perceived secrecy surrounding the project. He highlighted potential negative impacts such as job losses and the demolition of existing structures, questioning the administration's priorities amid economic challenges. Abubakar also pointed out inconsistencies in the project's funding model, initially presented as a zero-cost venture to Nigeria but later involved substantial financial commitments. Government's position. In response to these challenges, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, indicated a possible upward review of the project's cost to incorporate additional features like tree planting and the installation of CCTV cameras to enhance security and socio-economic values. He expressed satisfaction with the quality and progress of the work by the contractors, High-Tech Construction Company Limited, and emphasized the project's significance as a hallmark of excellence and innovation under President Tinubu's administration. Fubara reacts to Tinubu's emergency rule in Rivers. Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State has responded to President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in the state, which resulted in the suspension of Fubara, his deputy, and all members of the State House of Assembly. In a statement issued on Tuesday night, Fubara emphasized that his actions since assuming office have been guided by his constitutional oath and a commitment to duty. Fubara highlighted his administration's focus on protecting lives and properties, ensuring continuous progress, and upholding constitutional orders and the rule of law. He noted that following President Tinubu's intervention to mediate the political crisis, he implemented the agreed terms in good faith, including reinstating commissioners who had previously resigned. Additionally, he stated that his administration promptly complied with the Supreme Court's judgment to restore normalcy in the state. Despite these efforts, Fubara expressed disappointment that members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, frustrated his attempt to foster peace and progress. He asserted that notwithstanding political disagreements, his administration continued to function effectively, with salaries paid, projects executed, and the state remaining safe and secure. Fubara called on the people of Rivers State to remain peaceful and law-abiding, assuring them that his administration will engage with relevant institutions to ensure the sustenance of democracy and the state's continued prosperity. In his nationwide broadcast, President Tinubu cited the demolition of the Rivers State House of Assembly complex in December 2023 and the subsequent failure to rebuild it as part of the reasons for declaring the state of emergency. He also referenced the Supreme Court's findings of the constitutional breaches against Fubara and noted that militants had threatened violence without any disavowal from the governor. The Rivers State House of Assembly has expressed support for the President's declaration and the appointment of a sole administrator, attributing the state's condition to the governor's alleged maleficence and failure to govern in line with the Constitution. Kogi State constituents begin recall process of Senator Natasha. Constituents of Kogi Central Senatorial District have initiated a recall process against their representatives, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. This development follows her 6-month suspension from the Nigerian Senate over alleged misconduct, including accusations against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The recall process commenced across the 5 local government area of Kogi Central, with significant participation observed in Oke local government area. Constituents are required to sign a petition expressing their dissatisfaction with Akpoti-Uduaghan's performance, citing issues such as inadequate attention to poverty, infrastructure, and education. However, this move has been met with opposition from various quarters. Some residents have protested against the recall, expressing strong support for the senator and demanding her reinstatement. Placards with messages like "Natasha, our pride," and "We stand with Senator Natasha" were displayed during demonstrations. Additionally, advocacy groups have raised alarms over alleged plots to manipulate the recall process using falsified signatures. The group will manifest to condemn these actions, urging the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to ensure that any recall efforts adhere strictly to democratic principles and due process. As the situation unfolds, it highlights deep division within Kogi Central regarding Senator Apoti Uduaghan's representation and the broader political dynamics at play. Follow for more. March 19, 2025.